Welcome to Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura, and today I want to share with you a little purse pattern that I make quite often. What I like about this pattern, it's very simple, but you can embellish it, add pockets, use old jeans, cut up quilts, do whatever you want, and you can make it out of whatever you want. And this is the pattern I like using, and it is a quarter of the pattern. I will put a link in the description so that you can print it out. And I would recommend printing it out 2 or 4 times. When we print it out, we're going to be able to cut along those edges. And if the printer doesn't go to that edge, just draw your lines over and fill that whole paper. Once those pages are printed, you're going to be able to join them together right on that line. So that bottom line is going to join up. So there's that bottom line. I've just overlapped one piece. Now you can use this piece and have the fabric go on the fold, or cut out 2 more and place them together. So then you'd have one large piece. The bag front and back are made with one piece of fabric. This area will be the sides and this area will be the bottom. So if you want to put some pockets or some embellishments, you need to keep it into this area, and you'll see that as we go along. You will need 2 pieces of fabric, 15 inches by about 22 inches, so you could use fat quarters. I will be using an old piece of denim and a fat quarter, and I also will have 2 straps for handles. This is webbing that you can get in the fabric store, and it's made for straps or handles. Now this piece is 10 inches, so you can go 10 inches, even a little bigger, and we will need 2 of those. The choice of fabric will dictate what you're going to do with it. If you're going to use cotton fabric, you can quilt it, but in this case I put a fusible interfacing on the back of the fabric, and this is going to be the lining, and on the back of the denim. If you do not want the pattern lengthwise, you can join those pieces together, and then you'll use the bottom as a fold. So you're going to be able to have that fabric folded along the bottom or have it folded along the length. So you do have options on how you want to print this and use it. So I'm going to cut out both pieces to the exact pattern. There's a little area here on the pattern that we need to put a little snip in. I'll keep those layers of fabric together, get my scissors and just snip right there. Flip my pattern over, match it, snip, and then do those 2 sides there. Now that we have those little snips done, I would recommend that we do some ironing or some shaping of the bag front first. It's just going to be easier than trying to iron that after. We have a line going from that snip up to the top and along that bottom. So we're going to be able to take that, fold it so that it has that same shape, and press it. So it's going to be pressed in. We're going to do those 2 sides, the other side, and then press. So we're going from point to point. By pre-pressing that, you can already see the shape that it's going to take. So for the outside, you're pressing those towards the back. Now if you want to press the lining, it's going to be opposite. So that lining is going inside, so we need to press them inside. The pre-ironing saves some time, but it also gives us a placement where we're going to want to put any pockets or any embellishments. These folds are the sides, so anything we're going to want to do here. And that will be the same for the front of the bag. Anything we want to add, it's going to be in this area. I'm just going to leave it plain so I can go to the next step. The next step, we're going to add those handles. I do have a little arrow for placement, but you can place them where you feel comfortable. They just need to be the same size and the same on both sides. Do a scant seam allowance just to tack those on. Once those handles are on, I would pin them down just so that they don't accidentally get stitched at any of the seam allowances. The only thing left to do now is to sew the bag together. Match those right sides and stitch a 1/4 inch along both of those edges. And be sure to back stitch on the one end and back stitch on the other, because we do need that strength. These side seams will really be nice if we can press them open. The easiest way is to use a broom handle or a pressing bar. You're going to put that right through, open up that seam and press. By having a pressing bar or a wooden broomstick handle means we're only pressing this tiny portion. The iron can only sit flat, so it's not going to put presses anywhere else but where we need it. The side seams are pressed open. Now we can just fold those bottoms so that they match, and we're going to sew from that little cut line over to that little snip. Backstitch, stitch right over that seam and backstitch. So that's how the bottom looks. Those side edges that we pressed will match those folds along the bottom that we pressed. We'll just take that bottom, pull it so it matches, pin and stitch. You can really see that bag take shape now. And we can pull this right side out, and the bag is now ready for its lining. And you can really see how that ironing we did right at the beginning is helping that take shape. The lining's going to be done the same way, however, we just need to leave an opening. Match up those right sides, and on one side we need to stitch only about 1 inch back and forth, so we leave this portion open. On the other side, we can stitch the whole thing. Once those sides are done, put that pressing bar in and press those seams open. And in the case where it is open, just press it back so you do have a 1/4 inch seam allowance on each side. So we still have that opening, just the seams have been pressed. Same bottom, pull those apart, match, and stitch from that cut to the cut. The lining is now ready to go in the bag. We do need the right side of the bags touching. So just fold that and stick it in. Match up those seams along the top and stitch a 1/4 inch all the way around. That top is stitched all the way around. Put your hand in this opening and take out those pins which kept the handles out of the way of stitching. Now that we know that those handles were not stitched down, we're good to turn this bag right side out. Just pull that bag front out, and then that lining will follow. We can now just stitch that side closed. If you hand stitch it, this bag will become reversible. Once that's sealed, tuck it inside. Match up those edges and do a row of top stitch all the way around the outside of that top. With that top stitching done, it means the bag is done. You can go in and press those sides. Match up the folds and press those folds together. And do that on both sides. Be careful not to unpress that bottom. So we have a nice little handbag. There was more pressing and prep work than sewing this bag. But you can see the nice area where you could embellish it and have some fun. You could also put feet on the bottom, put a little magnet closure, longer handles, and there's many different fabrics that we can use. And this bag really does hold a lot. I have made these bags out of almost every fabric available. I've made them out of velvet, so they were evening bags. I've made them out of wool, so they were nice to go with a winter coat. I've made them for crafts and hobbies. They fit knitting, crocheting, even my English paper piecing. They're great for a book bag, lunch bags, kids bags, and they can be very simple, or you can really elaborate on them. I will put a link in the description to this PDF so that you can make this bag. And when you do print it out, be sure to print it out on your computer, because sometimes there's phones and tablets that just don't accept PDFs. It's a fun, simple bag. I'd love to know how you would make it and what would you add. Thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Be sure to check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and I do have a newsletter, all under Sew Very Easy. Thanks again. Bye for now.